Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt it? No one said anything directly. No one openly attacked you, but something felt off. The energy changed. The smiles looked forced. The conversations became colder, and deep down, you knew. Some people simply didn't like you, not because you harmed them, not because you disrespected them, but because your presence triggered something inside them they could not explain. This is one of the hardest truths about human nature. Not all dislike is earned. Some dislike is emotional, some is psychological, and some people resent you simply because of what you represent. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that when you wake up each morning, you should expect to meet arrogant, jealous, dishonest, and bitter people. Not because humanity is evil, but because many people are disconnected from themselves. Stoicism teaches us something powerful. People often react to your energy more than your words. And if you are calm in a chaotic world, disciplined in a distracted world, confident without seeking approval, you unintentionally become a mirror. And mirrors make insecure people uncomfortable. Today, we'll explore 4 hidden reasons people secretly dislike you, without even understanding why. And by the end of this lesson, you'll stop taking it personally. Because sometimes being disliked is not a sign you're failing. Sometimes it's proof you've changed. Reason 1. Your calmness exposes their chaos. The first reason people secretly dislike you is because your calmness makes them uncomfortable. Most people live in emotional turbulence. They react instantly. They gossip constantly. They complain daily. They seek drama because silence forces them to confront themselves. But you are different. You don't explode emotionally every time life becomes difficult. You don't chase attention. You don't panic under pressure. And while this may seem admirable to emotionally undisciplined people, it feels threatening. Because your calmness silently exposes their lack of control. Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Most people never master themselves. They master appearances. They know how to perform confidence, but they do not know how to create inner peace. So when they encounter someone emotionally grounded, they feel exposed without understanding why. That is why some people call calm individuals cold, arrogant, or hard to read. Not because you are cruel, but because they cannot emotionally manipulate you. Your silence frustrates people who survive on emotional reactions. Your composure unsettles people addicted to chaos. Imagine 2 people standing in the middle of a storm. One is panicking, screaming, running in circles. The other stands still, breathing slowly, observing carefully. Which one appears powerful? The storm reveals both minds, and life works the same way. Your calmness becomes a mirror, and not everyone likes what they see reflected back at them. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He wrote that the soul becomes dyed by the color of its thoughts. People trapped in negativity begin to resent peace because peace reminds them of what they lost inside themselves. And here is the dangerous part. Many people will try to pull you down emotionally just so they can feel normal again. They provoke you, test you, mock you, challenge your patience. Because if they can make you lose control, they no longer feel inferior. But the Stoic refuses that trap. You do not need to become loud to prove strength. You do not need to react to every disrespect. You do not need to explain your peace to people addicted to noise. Sometimes silence is your greatest victory, and the calmer you become, the more certain people will secretly resent your discipline. Not because you hurt them, but because your peace reminds them of their inner war. 2. You don't need approval. The second hidden reason people dislike you is because you do not depend on approval. Most social systems are built on validation. People constantly seek permission from others before they feel worthy. They adjust their personality to fit into rooms. They laugh at things they don't find funny. They agree to avoid rejection. They fear being disliked more than they fear losing themselves. But when someone appears comfortable without constant approval, it disrupts the entire social dynamic. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free," and freedom terrifies insecure people. Because someone who does not need validation cannot easily be controlled. You become unpredictable. You speak honestly. You set boundaries. You walk away from disrespect. You do not beg to belong. And for people who built their identity around social acceptance, this feels threatening. They may not consciously understand it, but instinctively they feel your independence. And independence exposes dependency. That is why some people secretly dislike disciplined individuals. You remind them how much of themselves they sacrificed just to be accepted. The truth is, many people would rather betray themselves than risk rejection. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. It teaches that your worth cannot be measured by applause. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't beg for approval. It doesn't chase admiration. It doesn't need every room to agree. And strangely enough, this calm self-respect often creates resistance, because people are comfortable around weakness, but they become uncomfortable around someone who clearly values themselves, especially if that person does not need external validation to survive. So if people suddenly grow cold when you become more disciplined, more focused, or more independent, understand what is happening. You are no longer easy to manipulate, and that changes everything. 3. Your awareness makes people nervous. The third reason people secretly dislike you is because you observe more than you speak. You notice patterns. You notice inconsistencies. You notice fake behavior. And even when you say nothing, people feel seen around you. This makes insecure individuals nervous. Most people want approval, not awareness. They want to wear masks without being questioned. But observant people unintentionally create self-awareness in others. And self-awareness is uncomfortable for people hiding from themselves. Have you ever noticed how some people become defensive around quiet individuals? It's because silence creates psychological pressure. When you speak less, people project more. They begin wondering, what is he thinking? Does she notice something? Why are they so calm? Your presence alone forces some people to confront themselves. And many individuals would rather dislike you than reflect honestly. Marcus Aurelius said, "People exist for one another. Teach them or bear with them." The Stoic understands human behavior without becoming consumed by it. You observe without hatred. You notice without obsession. But your awareness still unsettles those who rely on illusion. Because people hiding insecurity fear being emotionally exposed. And awareness exposes everything eventually. Fake confidence, manipulation, jealousy, weak character. The quiet observer sees what loud people miss. That is why emotionally intelligent people often experience subtle resentment, not because they attack others, but because their awareness quietly reveals truth. And truth makes insecure people uncomfortable. 4. You remind them of their potential. This is the deepest reason of all. Some people dislike you because you remind them of who they could have become. Your discipline reminds them of their excuses. Your growth reminds them of the time they wasted. Your consistency exposes their inconsistency. And instead of becoming inspired, they become resentful. This is one of the saddest realities in human nature. Not everyone celebrates growth. Some people secretly hate those who evolve because it forces them to confront their own stagnation. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Most people know they are wasting potential. They know they procrastinate. They know they avoid discomfort. They know they abandoned discipline. But instead of facing themselves honestly, they redirect frustration outward, toward you. Your ambition irritates people who surrendered. Your self-control frustrates people ruled by impulses. Your silence annoys people addicted to attention. And your growth becomes painful evidence that transformation is possible. That is why people sometimes dislike disciplined individuals for no obvious reason. Your existence silently confronts their excuses. And some people would rather resent your light than build their own. But this is where Stoicism changes everything. You stop taking it personally. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You stop apologizing for your growth. Because Marcus Aurelius understood something powerful. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. You do not respond with bitterness. You do not seek validation. You do not lower yourself. You simply continue evolving quietly. And eventually, life reveals everything. Character reveals itself. Discipline reveals itself. Time reveals itself. The people who mocked growth remain stuck. The people who embraced discipline rise. Always. Final message. Here is the truth most people never hear. If everyone likes you, you are probably performing. Real growth creates friction. Boundaries create resistance. Discipline creates insecurity in weak minds. Calmness creates discomfort in chaotic people. And Stoicism teaches us not to fear this.
You are not responsible for carrying other people's insecurities. You are not required to shrink your light so insecure people feel comfortable in darkness. Stay calm, stay disciplined, stay grounded. Because the moment you stop needing everyone to like you, you become dangerous in the most peaceful way possible. And that is real power.